Welcome to My Irish Radio Music and Culture News, your connection to everything happening in the world of Irish music and culture. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Each episode will share the latest news from Ireland's vibrant music scene, from traditional and folk to rebel ballads, pub tunes, Celtic rock, and today's top Irish pop. We'll also bring you updates on festivals, cultural events, and people keeping Irish heritage alive around the world. And remember, My Irish Radio is more than just a station. It's your community, your soundtrack, your voice. You can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com and through the links in the podcast description below. Here's the best part. You can be part of it. Host your very own show on My Irish Radio. Choose your playlist, share your stories, make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio. Let's get into what's happening this week in Irish music and culture.
We are right here at the absolute tail end of January 2026, looking at the week of the 27th. And I have to say, digging through this stack of updates today felt a bit like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Oh, absolutely. The Irish creative scene isn't just moving right now. It feels like it's vibrating.
It really does.
It's one of those weeks where the sheer volume of output, music, film, literature, is just enough to make your head spin.
For sure.
But what's fascinating to me as we sifted through the Irish Music and Culture Weekly Dispatch is that if you look just past the headlines, you start to see this very specific, slightly schizophrenic narrative emerging.
Schizophrenic how? What do you mean?
Well, on one side of the coin, you have this roaring engine of global success.
Okay.
We're talking about massive award nominations, albums that are about to dominate the charts, and, Irish actors basically owning the red carpets in London. It feels like a golden age.
But then you flip the coin over.
Exactly. You flip it over and look at the local news, the ground level in Dublin, and the picture is much, much grittier. You see infrastructure kind of crumbling. You see venues closing.
A real struggle
To just keep the lights on. It's that classic best of times, worst of times scenario.
Right. And I guess that's the tension we need to explore today.
Precisely.
Well, that is our mission. We're going to unpack exactly who is dominating the playlists for 2026, which actors are likely clearing space on their mantelpieces for a BAFTA.
Yeah.
And why a very, very famous library room in Trinity College is making headlines. But we're also going to look at those closures that are threatening the roots of this whole ecosystem.
Think of it as a pulse check on Irish culture. The heart is beating incredibly fast, but the patient might be a little dehydrated.
I love that analogy. Okay, let's start with that racing pulse, the music.
Yeah, the music.
We have to talk about the heavy hitters because the race for, the top prize in Irish music has officially begun.
It has. We're talking about the RTÉ Choice Music Prize for 2025. And, for anyone listening who isn't maybe glued to the Irish music blogs, we should probably explain what this actually is.
Yeah, because it's not just who sold the most, is it? It's not a sales award.
No, not at all. If it was, it'd be a pretty boring list, honestly. Think of it as the Irish equivalent of the Mercury Prize in the UK.
Okay, so it's about artistic merit.
It's all about artistic merit. Decided by a panel of critics and industry experts, not by how many streams you got on Spotify. It's about the album of the year as a piece of art.
So making the shortlist is a genuine stamp of quality. A big deal.
It is. It validates your career. And looking at the shortlist that just dropped this week, two names really anchor the conversation for me.
Who are they?
CMAT and Amble.
CMAT. I mean, she has just been a force of nature for the last few years.
She has. A cultural juggernaut.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about her presence here is that it validates pop music that is smart, funny, a little bit subversive,
It's not just bubblegum.
No, there's a real craft there that the critics are acknowledging. And then you have Amble.
Who are a completely different texture.
Completely different. It's that folk-influenced, more organic, contemporary sound. And having them both on the same shortlist shows the judges aren't looking for one specific Irish sound. They're just rewarding execution across the spectrum.
Now, we have to manage expectations here. We have the shortlist in our hands right now in January.
Right.
But we aren't going to know the actual winner for a little while.
Nope. Not until March. So we have about 6 to 8 weeks of speculation, debates in pubs, and people arguing over which album actually defined 2025.
Which is half the fun, let's be honest.
Of course.
But while we're looking back at the best of 2025, what I love about this dispatch is that it's also giving us a forecast. It's telling us what the rest of 2026 is going to sound like.
And the calendar is already looking packed.
It is.
If you're looking to update your rotation, you need to mark March on your calendar.
Okay, March. What's happening?
Loah is dropping a new album.
Oh, fantastic. I've seen her described as art soul.
That's a great tag for her. She just bends genres, West African rhythms, Irish folk, soul, jazz. Her releasing a full album is a major artistic statement. It signals that 2026 is going to be about experimentation.
And then, as we move into spring...
We're expecting a release from Logan.
Okay.
And then early summer, Matrona.
Matrona bring that serious rock energy, don't they?
Big time. Classic rock influences, really high energy, great guitar work. And again, just look at the spread here.
Yeah.
Low gives you soul infusion. Matrona gives you rock and roll. And the sources also mention new work expected from Soak, who brings that sort of introspective indie sound.
A big one.
And obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the room, Niall Horan.
The global pop giant himself.
Exactly. I mean, when you have Niall Horan in the mix, you're talking about stadium-filling global pop.
Mm.
So the takeaway is that the canopy level of the Irish music industry, the very top tier, is incredibly biodiverse. It's not a monoculture.
It's a full spectrum. The canopy is lush, the leaves are green.
But, and this is the big pivot, trees have roots. And if the canopy is the global stars, then the roots are the traditional scene and the brand new artists just starting to bubble up.
And that brings us right to our second segment. We need to look at the ground level.
Yeah, and this is often where the most interesting innovation happens. The Dispatch highlighted the Bonn Seán Riada competition for 2026.
Which is a massive deal in the trad world.
It's the gold medal.
Yeah.
Seán Riada was a titan of Irish music, so winning a prize in his name is, a career-defining moment. And the winner taking home the prize this year is Ríona Healy.
Ríona Healy. Okay, so for a listener who maybe doesn't listen to traditional radio every day, why does a win like this matter outside of that specific circle?
It matters because traditional music relies on transmission. It's about passing the skill, the tunes, the style from one generation to the next.
No.
So when you see a new winner like Ríona Healy, it confirms the standard isn't dropping, the baton is being passed successfully.
And speaking of the baton, there was this lovely juxtaposition in the notes. At the same time, we're celebrating a new winner like Ríona Healy, the Irish Traditional Music Archive. The ITMA is publishing new work on Tommy Potts.
Yes. The legendary fiddle player. I love that you caught that. It's vital.
Yes, the old and the new holding hands.
Exactly. Tommy Potts was a master, known for a very unique, almost improvisational style. By digitizing his work and putting it out there now, the ITMA is ensuring that the next Ríona Healy can listen to him on their phone and learn from him. It reinforces that idea that traditional music isn't a museum piece. It's a living, breathing timeline.
Speaking of living and breathing, let's talk about the really new stuff. The Dispatch listed a few bands getting hype from Hot Press and Naller 9. And I have to say, the band naming game in Ireland remains undefeated.
There are some absolute gems in there, aren't there?
The Man Who Seeks Pleasure.
Certainly memorable.
I mean, that's a name that just demands you listen to the track, right? It sounds like a philosophical treatise or a frantic self-help book. You just have to know what that sounds like.
Hot Press highlighted them, along with a band called Cardinals.
And Naller 9 had a few picks, too.
Yep, they flagged new tracks from the Ran and a group called Outstraight.
The Ran, Outstraight, Cardinals, and The Man Who Seeks Pleasure.
It sounds like the lineup of the best festival you've never been to.
It really does. And again, this is that bubbling energy we talked about. These are the acts just breaking surface tension. And they aren't Niall Horan yet. They aren't even CMAT yet. They're in that exciting, volatile discovery phase.
The R&D Department of Irish Music.
Which is usually the most fun phase to watch. But
here comes the but.
Here comes the but. And this brings us to the most sobering part of the Dispatch. We've just listed all these incredible artists from Ríona Healy to The Man Who Seeks Pleasure. But the question is, where are they going to play?
Yeah. This is the infrastructure crisis we mentioned in the intro.
The news from late January confirms 2 specific Dublin venues are closing their doors. The Complex Art Centre and the Cooler Jazz venue.
Ugh, that hurts. And we need to really unpack why this matters, because it's not just about nostalgia. It's not just, I had a nice pint there once.
Right. Break it down for us. Why does losing a jazz venue like the Cooler matter to the wider ecosystem?
Because jazz venues are often where technical proficiency is honed. It's a laboratory. It's a gym for high-performance athletes. It's where musicians learn to improvise, to listen to each other, to handle complex time signatures.
Yeah.
All in front of a live audience.
So even if you don't play jazz, the skills you learn there translate.
100%.
Right.
The drummer for a Patek might have cut their teeth playing jazz at the Cooler. If you close the gym, the athletes can't train.
And the Complex Arts Center, the name kind of implies it, but arts centers are usually these multidisciplinary spaces.
Exactly. They're the spaces where weird experimental stuff can happen because the commercial pressure isn't as high as a stadium. They're safe spaces to fail.
Safe spaces to fail. That's so important because you can't fail at the 3 Arena.
No. If you're playing the 3 Arena, you need to be polished. You need to be Niall Horan. But to get to be Niall Horan or to get to be CM, you had to start somewhere where the stakes were low. You had to play to 50 people in a black box room.
So if you cut off the bottom rungs of the ladder.
Nobody can climb up. That's the fear. We're seeing this booming release schedule for 2026, Loah, Matrona, but the physical spaces that incubate the next generation, the generation releasing albums in 2030, they're just disappearing.
It feels like we're exporting culture faster than we can house it domestically.
That is a very astute way to put it. We're celebrating the harvest, but we're letting the soil erode.
And speaking of exporting culture, let's pivot to where things are going incredibly right.
You're listening to My Irish Music and Culture News, brought to you by My Irish Radio, streaming the best in Irish and Celtic music all day, every day. From classic jigs and reels to the latest Irish rock and pub favorites, we celebrate the sound of Ireland worldwide. Want to be more than a listener? Be a host. Share your love for the Irish music by hosting your own show on My Irish Radio. It's easy to get started. Just send us an email, myirishradio@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com. Make My Irish Radio your Irish radio.
Let's pivot to where things are going incredibly right, the global stage.
Yes.
Because while venues are closing in Dublin, Irish talent is absolutely sweeping the boards in the UK and the US.
The green wave in film and TV is just continuing to crest. The big news this week is the BAFTAs.
The British Academy Film Awards. And once again, it's a major year for Irish talent. Who are we talking about?
The film is Hamnet, based on that Maggie O'Farrell novel.
Mm-hmm.
And the nominations have gone to Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley.
I feel like we say Paul Mescal's name in every single deep dive we do about culture lately.
He is having a generational run, honestly.
Yeah.
But seeing both him and Jessie Buckley nominated for the same project, that really cements the reputation of Irish acting talent. It's not a fluke anymore.
No.
It's a dominance.
It's become a brand. Irish actor is a stamp of quality now, almost like Swiss watch.
It is.
Yeah.
Casting directors know that if they hire Irish talent, they're getting rigor, they're getting training, emotional depth. And the industry recognizes that. The source material mentions that Nia McCormack has been named a patron of the IFT UK.
Which is the Irish Film and Television UK?
Correct. So that's solidifying those institutional links. But it's not just film. There was a really interesting snippet in the Irish Echo about Trinity Irish Dance.
The dance company.
Yes. They're New York City. And the report says they're performing a revamped version of a traditional tune.
Revamped? That's an interesting word choice.
It is. It suggests that theme we touched on earlier with Loah taking something very old, very traditional, and repackaging it, reinterpreting it for a modern international audience.
In this case, an American audience.
Exactly. So you have Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley conquering London with the BAFTAs, and Trinity Irish Dance conquering New York. It's a global footprint. For a small island, the cultural projection is just immense.
Which leads us nicely to our final segment. We've done music, we've done film. Let's talk about words and walls, literature and heritage.
Words and walls. I like that. Let's start with the words. The literary scene is showing the same kind of sustained success as the acting world.
The Dispatch mentioned the Dylan Thomas Prize.
Yes, from Swansea University. A very prestigious award. And an Irish author has made the long list.
That's fantastic news.
It is, but here's the key context from the Irish Post. This is the second year in a row an Irish author has achieved this.
So again, consistency.
Consistency is the hardest thing to achieve in the arts. One hit is luck. 2 years in a row is a movement. It signals a sustained literary moment. We aren't just having a good year. We are in a good era.
Right.
When you hit long lists back to back, it means the international literary community is actively looking at Ireland for the next big thing. They expect quality.
And finally, let's talk about the walls. We're going back to Trinity College, but not for dance this time.
No, we are going to the long room.
The long room. I think everyone has a mental image of this, right? That barrel-vaulted ceiling, the dark wood, the busts of philosophers, the smell of old paper.
The Jedi archives, basically.
Yeah. It's probably one of the most iconic interiors in Ireland. And the news is that major conservation efforts are scheduled for the space.
Which sounds expensive.
Very expensive and very necessary. We're pouring resources into preserving this massive symbol of heritage. We're making sure the long room stands for another 100 years.
It is a crown jewel.
It is. And here's where my brain starts to itch a little, if we connect this back to our earlier segment.
The venues.
Exactly. Place these two news items side by side. We are investing heavily to save the long room, which is a repository of the past. It's where knowledge is, not necessarily where new culture is made right now.
Where's the cooler and the complex?
Those are the places where the culture of 2026 is actually being made. And those are the places that are closing due to lack of funds or commercial pressure.
It's a stark contrast. We polish the library, but we board up the jazz club.
It raises a difficult question about priorities, doesn't it?
It does. Are we becoming a curator culture? A culture that's excellent at preserving its history and excellent at exporting its stars to London and New York, but struggling to maintain the messy, gritty, expensive reality of a local art scene?
That's the tension of this whole dispatch. Are we building a museum or a factory?
That's it. A museum's beautiful, but it's static. A factory is noisy and dirty, but it produces things. And right now, it feels like the factory is struggling.
So if you're a listener, you're seeing a headline about Paul Mescal and cheering, but you might also be walking past a shuttered venue on your way home.
And realizing that the next Paul Mescal or the next CMAT might not have a place to rehearse.
Well, that is certainly something to chew on.
It is.
So let's try to recap the State of the Union for Irish culture as we see it in January 2026.
The recap is, the output is high, the quality is world-class, recognition is global.
Yep.
CMAT and Amble are fighting for the top album spot. Loah and Matrona are filling up the spring calendar with diverse sounds. Ríona Healy is keeping the tradition alive and winning gold.
But the infrastructure is creaking. The Complex Art Center and the cooler are gone.
And that's the warning light on the dashboard.
It is a fascinating snapshot of a culture in transition.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think the final thought for the listener today has to be about that balance.
Go on.
We often measure cultural success by trophies, BAFTAs, Choice Prizes. But maybe we need to measure it by square footage, too. How many square feet of creative space do we have left in the city?
Oh, I like that metric.
Because if we only celebrate the exports and the heritage sites, is there a danger of Ireland becoming a museum of its own past and a launch pad for its stars, but a desert for the people actually living and creating there?
Are we starring in our own movie or just building the set for tourists?
That is the question.
Well, on that slightly provocative note, we are going to wrap up. I highly encourage you to go look up The Man Who Seeks Pleasure on your streaming service of choice, if only to see if the music lives up to the name.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, if you see a small venue putting on a show this weekend, buy a ticket.
I think I'm going to do that right now.
That's it for this episode of My Irish Radio, Music and Culture News. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can hear the best in Irish and Celtic music 24 hours a day at myirishradio.com. If you ever dreamed of sharing your favorite tunes and stories, now's your chance. Become one of the hosts. Host your own show right here on My Irish Radio. Just send us an email. It's easy as that. myirishradio@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Jamie Flanagan. Keep the music playing and keep Ireland in your heart.